The story begins by introducing David, an attractive man renowned for his romantic escapades. He finds himself sharing a tale with his close friend about his previous marriage to Georgia, now his ex-wife. David describes how Georgia relentlessly pursued him until he finally acquiesced and agreed to marry her, motivated by her strong desire to be with him. However, from Georgia's perspective, she tells her friend the same story, asserting that it was David who chased after her relentlessly and persisted until she relented and accepted his proposal. Their marriage ended in divorce 25 years ago, and they have not seen each other since. Despite their estranged relationship, both David and Georgia are obligated to attend their daughter's upcoming graduation party, which is scheduled for the following day. Their daughter, Lily, individually contacts each of her parents to emphasize the importance of not arguing or causing any conflict during the event, as she wants the celebration to be joyful and memorable. Promising not to fight, both parents agree to set their differences aside for their daughter's sake. The narrative then shifts to Lily and her friends, who are preparing for a trip to Bali Island after the graduation ceremony. Lily once again reaches out to her parents individually, reiterating the importance of maintaining harmony at the party. She is determined to ensure that the joyous atmosphere remains intact. On the day of the graduation party, David and Georgia attend and put on a facade of a happy couple in front of everyone. They manage to navigate the event without any conflict, upholding their promise to their daughter. As the party comes to an end, Lily embarks on her journey to Bali Island with her friends, filled with excitement and anticipation. While swimming in the sea during their Bali trip, Lily and her friend encounter a distressing situation when their boat suddenly disappears. Worried and uncertain, they begin searching for their missing vessel. Unexpectedly, another boat emerges, manned by a handsome young man. Desperate for help, Lily and her friend request assistance, and the young man volunteers to rescue them. They board his boat, and as they interact, Lily becomes captivated by his charm. Unaware of her friend's presence, she engages in flirtatious banter with a young man named Gede. A mutual connection and attraction develop between them, and a love affair begins to bloom amidst the tropical backdrop of Bali. Meanwhile, David reaches out to Georgia, urging her to check her phone for an important message. To their surprise, they discover that their daughter Lily has sent them a wedding invitation. It turns out that Lily and Gede have decided to tie the knot. Excited about their daughter's impending nuptials, David informs Georgia of his intention to attend the wedding. Upon hearing this news, Georgia realizes that she too must travel to the wedding, setting the stage for a potentially emotional reunion between the divorced couple as they gather to celebrate their daughter's new chapter in life. The scene changes as we see Georgia and David seated together on an airplane. Something peculiar happens when David takes his seat next to Georgia, upsetting her and prompting her to request a seat change from the flight attendant. Unfortunately, the flight attendant apologizes, citing the difficulty of changing seats at the moment. However, a kind-hearted fellow passenger volunteers to switch seats with Georgia, allowing her to sit next to David. Georgia is delighted, finding David attractive. As the flight progresses, Paul, the captain of the plane, surprises Georgia by coming to welcome her personally. It is revealed that Paul is actually Georgia's lover, and he had deliberately changed his flight to be with her on the same plane. Paul takes the opportunity to talk to David, confessing his deep love for Georgia and his willingness to do anything to be with her. To David's surprise, he laughs off Paul's words, wondering why Georgia would choose to adore a man with no apparent advantages. Eventually, the plane lands and they all board a small boat to reach the beautiful island of Bali. During the boat ride, David and Georgia engage in a conversation, expressing their disagreement with Georgia's upcoming marriage to someone named Grassman. Georgia confides in David, believing that the marriage will ultimately fail, and feeling sorry for her daughter, Lily, who might end up experiencing a similar failed relationship as she did with David. They both agree that something should be done to prevent the marriage from taking place. Upon arriving on the island, Lily is greeted by her parents, and she accompanies her father to meet Gede's father. Gede's father warmly welcomes David, showcasing his sense of humor by keeping David entertained with jokes. David then meets Gede, and they have a conversation. He advises Gede not to rush into marriage and to take their time before having children to avoid potential disagreements and separation in the future. However, Gede doesn't pay much attention to this advice. Later, Gede's father addresses his tribe and blesses the newlyweds, David and Georgia, in front of everyone. After the ceremony, David and Georgia head to the hotel to rest. Interestingly, when they book 2 rooms, they discover that both rooms are on the same floor, adding another twist to their story. David then encounters a little girl in the hotel lobby. He opens up about his past, recounting a fire that occurred in his house and how his wife accused him of neglect, leading to their separation. Inspired by his story, David and Georgia begin brainstorming ideas to disrupt Gede and Lily's impending marriage. David explains the islanders' beliefs regarding optimism and pessimism and suggests that stealing the engagement ring might make the islanders believe the marriage is doomed. Georgia initially hesitates but eventually succeeds in stealing the ring from Gede's cousin. The wedding ceremony takes place, and everyone searches for the missing ring, but it cannot be found. Unexpectedly, Gede's father casually produces the ring, explaining that such things can happen and postponing the wedding until the next day. Georgia accompanies Lily to buy wedding supplies, and during their outing, Lily asks her father to assist Gede with the crop collection as part of his pre-wedding ritual to cleanse himself from demons and start anew. Later, David and Georgia find themselves collecting the crop instead of Gede, and they end up arguing as they always do whenever they meet. In the evening, they meet up with Gede and Lily at the hotel bar, continuing to drink wine, play games, and engage in various challenges. The following morning, Georgia wakes up in David's bed, angry and confused about how she ended up there. David, equally surprised, claims not to remember what happened. Their conversation is interrupted when Paul knocks on the door. Georgia hastily returns to her room, and David explains the room mix-up to Paul. Georgia emerges from her room and tells Paul that they switched rooms because David's room was more beautiful and spacious. She asks Paul to wait for her in the hotel lobby. Meanwhile, Lily, Gede, and Paul wait in the lobby. Gede suggests taking everyone to a beautiful island for some fun, but David proposes an even better one. During the journey, Gede reveals to Lily that her father is intentionally sabotaging their wedding due to his belief that visiting this particular island leads to failed marriages. Lily dismisses the superstition and advises Gede to let go of such unfounded beliefs. The scene transitions to Georgia and Paul in the picturesque state of Georgia. Together, they venture into a magnificent cave where Paul has a surprise in store for Georgia. As they explore the depths of the cave, Paul reveals a stunning wedding ring, catching Georgia off guard. With a glimmer of hope in his eyes, Paul earnestly proposes to Georgia, asking her to marry him and spend their lives together. However, Georgia's response is not what Paul had anticipated. She kindly declines his heartfelt request, explaining that while she genuinely enjoys his company and has cherished their time together, she cannot commit to marrying him. Georgia emphasizes that her feelings for him may be genuine, but the prospect of marriage is a step she cannot take with him. In a gentle but firm manner, she asks him to let go of this topic, urging them to continue their journey without the burden of unfulfilled expectations. Paul's face flushes with a mixture of embarrassment and disappointment, overwhelmed by the weight of Georgia's rejection. Feeling disoriented and lightheaded, he lowers his gaze to the ground, only to discover a slithering snake lurking beneath his feet. Panic ensues as Georgia's nerves kick in, realizing the danger they're in. Acting swiftly, she tries to guide Paul to the nearest hospital, hoping to provide him with the necessary care. In the midst of the commotion, David and Lily enter the room, concerned about Paul's well-being. Sensing Georgia's absence, they inquire about her whereabouts. Paul, still reeling from his rejection, musters the courage to remind Georgia not to forget the question he had posed earlier on the island. Intrigued by Paul's words, David probes further, questioning Georgia about the nature of Paul's request. With a tinge of trepidation, Georgia reveals that Paul had indeed asked her to marry him. The revelation triggers an unexpected surge of anger in David. He had never fathomed the idea of Georgia marrying someone else after their relationship had ended. Struggling to process this information, David seeks solace in an outing with Lily and Gede, intending to escape to a nearby island where they can find respite and reflect on recent events. Meanwhile, Georgia remains at the hospital, overcome with guilt and remorse. As Georgia tends to Paul, she realizes that it's only fair for her to join the others on the island, ensuring Lily is not left alone. Overcoming her own reservations, Georgia apologizes to Paul for leaving his side but insists that she must reunite with David, Lily, and Gede. Understanding the significance of togetherness, Paul accepts her decision, realizing that it is in everyone's best interest. Once reunited, a sense of relief washes over the group. David and Gede embark on a fishing expedition, leaving Lily and Georgia behind to prepare a fire for cooking the day's catch. Georgia takes charge, skillfully igniting a fire using the surrounding wood. However, her request for a lighter from Lily's bag unravels a surprising twist. Lily is shocked to discover her mother's engagement ring tucked away inside. The revelation sparks a torrent of emotions within Lily, as she feels betrayed by her parents' apparent attempt to sabotage her wedding plans. Confused and hurt, she confronts Georgia, demanding an explanation for her actions. Georgia, taken aback by the intensity of Lily's reaction, tries to reassure her daughter that her intentions were rooted in love and a desire to protect her from experiencing the same heartbreak that she had endured in the past. Gede returns from the fishing trip, witnessing the tense atmosphere between Georgia and Lily. Calmly, he shares that he was aware of the situation all along but chose to remain silent. Gede reaffirms his unwavering love for Lily, assuring her that no matter the circumstances, his commitment to her remains unshaken. He promises to procure a new ring and fulfill their dreams of marriage, hoping to bring peace and restoration to their relationship. With Lily and Gede's departure from the island, Georgia and David find themselves alone. Recognizing Georgia's distress, David offers comfort and support. He vows to take responsibility for the situation, assuring Georgia that she is not to blame and that her relationship with Lily should not suffer. Together, they resolve to cherish the memories they've shared and focus on mending their bond. The following morning, Georgia and David sit by the tranquil sea, reminiscing about their journey and the trials they've faced. They both agree to attend Lily's wedding and wholeheartedly bless the union. Determined to offer their unconditional support, they approach the festivities with joy in their hearts. Georgia and David board a boat, preparing to return to their city. On the journey back, Georgia opens up to David about her encounter with Paul and her resolute decision to reject his proposal. In this moment of vulnerability, they find solace in each other's presence, their hands interlocked, bridging the gaps that once divided them. Feeling a renewed sense of connection, David suggests that they revisit the island, yearning to spend more cherished moments together. Georgia, embracing the opportunity for a fresh start, eagerly agrees. Without hesitation, they take a leap of faith, diving into the welcoming sea and embarking on a new chapter, grateful for the chance to rediscover love and happiness in each other's arms. As the waves carry them back to the island, their hearts brim with joy and anticipation. The journey, filled with obstacles and revelations, has brought them full circle, rekindling the flame that once burned bright. Their story concludes with a sense of hope and the promise of a future where love conquers all.